Juan. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Can-Am Connection live on the ArmTalk station. Today, Mr. SB will not be with us. He's busy doing other things. Tim's supposed to be here at some point today, but you know what, though? It's all good. I got my boy Nathan in the house. Nathan, what's going on, man?
Not a lot. Just finalizing some stuff. I went to Montreal this past weekend for the provincial. That was a awesome time. So
So, what's their nationals like
that
compared
was
to ours? Well,
provincials. That was the provincial.
oh, so that's like their state.
Yeah. So in order to go to nationals, you have to go to your provincial.
Now, do you have
So
to place top two, top three, or how does that
I think
work?
I just think you have to go. It was cool though. Marc Andre did a phenomenal job. 673 entries.
Wow.
Yeah, so they run it over 2 days. You have Saturday was the senior classes
Hmm.
for men and women, and then Sunday is the masters and juniors. So yeah,
So,
it's
I
really
got a
good.
question. Justin says I don't see you. I don't know. Does he not see us? Are we live, everybody? Because Justin Cable say he doesn't see us. Um, how about this? What do you think
We're
they're
good.
doing right and we're doing wrong? And granted,
That
when we talk about provincials, the land space is a lot bigger than the states here in the states. If that
yeah,
means
what I think they're doing right is they only have one national, and that's the God's honest truth, right? Like, you know, their national kind of means something.
right,
Whereas where our nationals now are used as qualifications to worlds instead of having essentially a unified nationals. And to me, it would make more sense to have a unified national like they do, where every province has its provincial, and then you go from your provincial to your national, and that's, your kind of your stepping stone.
right.
Like I'm not saying maybe I don't know, maybe it would motivate more people to go to like a state if we had it where like you need to go to your state, which will never happen. But you go to your state, turn, your whatever state, Missouri State, Arizona State, yada yada yada, and
Oregon
that
doesn't
gets
have
you
one, so we get to choose.
and that gets you
Um,
kind of like a stepping stone into the national, right? But I think that's the big thing. And they're a lot more unified up there than down here.
right. So, Tim, welcome to the show, my friend. We were just touching base on the Quebec provincials over there. 693 entries and
673, 673, yeah.
673. Okay,
Yeah.
still phenomenal number. And I was asking,
Yeah.
what are they doing correct and we are doing wrong down here? So now that you know the question, what's your expertise on that, Mr. Tom Madge?
Um, I mean, Providences are already dominant, bigger than a lot of our states, so that's a start. But I mean, I guess if you want to go off of Providences, and yeah, I look at Texas, right? I mean, how many entries does Texas have for Texas State?
It depends on the location for each year, but anywhere from 4 to 500.
Right, and the
Are you going to get
potential
that in El
there.
Paso?
Yeah, so the potential there is Texas realistically should have over 1,000 if you look at how many pullers they have in Texas. But I mean, it just the dedication everywhere else besides the United States is just not there. I've said it for so many years. The states, there's so many people that feel entitled in the United States for like they're owed something. Um, we deal with it in Arizona all the time. If everybody in Arizona showed up to one tournament, just people in Arizona, we would have over 500 entries. They just don't. They would rather go pull in a backyard and spend their money on gas and beer than go to a tournament. It doesn't matter what you do for $30, $40, or $50. Someone's not happy and they won't show up. And that's the problem with America. People just don't show up. And there's so many tournaments that are so fucking spread out. Every weekend, somebody wants to be a promoter. And so someone will go, okay, we got Arizona State here. Well, I'm not going to go to Arizona State because this many people are going to be here. I'd rather go to San Diego the following weekend with 20 people so I can get a medal. That's how people in the U.S. think. And if you go up there, like I heard the tail end of what Nathan's saying, Me and Corey Miller have been saying it for years. If you actually had a nationals where you had to take top 2 in your class at your state, and that's the only way you qualify to go to nationals, that's until that happens, we're not going to see anything changing.
And I agree with that because and I had a soapbox about one of these topics too the other day, where it's almost like, yeah, everybody wants to be a promoter, but we all know that takes a lot of work to sustain that, from a longevity standpoint. So I always applaud people who've been doing it for years in, year out, because again, I think that's one of our downfalls with the United States as far as arm wrestling goes. Now,
Well, my
before the
thing was
pandemic,
I don't think you need to like touching what Tim said. Okay, I don't think you need like the top 2 from each state weight class, because then you're still not looking at a lot of people, because some states don't even have a state, right? But like what Canada, like if you go to provincials, you can go to nationals. You know what I mean? Like, but you're mandated to have to go to your provincial or your state in order to go to
correct,
nationals. With us having USAF nationals, IFA nationals, PAL nationals, like it muddies the water more so than what they do, because they'll have their national, which they use, but then they also have their qualifiers for worlds. So
right, and to kind of touch base on what both of you guys said. I mean, just from the United States standpoint, we have 2 nationals, we have 2 North America championships, and it's like, normally something like that should be a goal to achieve, but it's kind of like, okay, which one do I go to? It's almost like as we were growing up, we were kids, and if you're watching wrestling, and we're going to segue into that in a minute, who was the world champion? Was it Ric Flair or was it Hulk Hogan? It's like, well, wait a minute, why are they both champions? And then as I got older, I understood, there's different promotions. That's why you never saw those guys meet, things like that. And, I'm hoping some way, somehow, that we can unify that. We tried, and then it's just, I don't know. What do you think the issue is? Is it a promotion thing? Is it, because I understand some promoters want their promotion to be the thing, and I get that, but at the same time, it's like, can we put away our swords, put down our weapons, and join for a common cause once a year? Is that saying too much? What do y'all think?
I mean, on my end, it's like if somebody say they want to be a promoter, they're so quick to go out there and get like I guess
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
a cool name, right? Like a Unified American League. I don't know. I'm just throwing spitballing. But then so many people go out there and get these league names, and then nothing happens with them, and then that league name's gone because it's already been watered down. So it's like whoever can find the coolest league name and then say, okay, we're gonna have a championship. That's what people do. And you don't see that anywhere else. That's why everything is so watered down in the US, because everybody wants to have the next best thing, and when it doesn't happen, then that name's just gone, right?
Yeah.
Or people work with other people and then it doesn't work out, so they start their own thing because they think that they can do it better than who they were working with. It's just it's never ending circle of things that keep circling around, and you don't see that anywhere else in the world.
Which is
Yeah, I
sad.
forgot about that. Eric Rusin does that too with the Ottawa Open. If you finish top 2, he helps pay your way to provincials, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's
And he
what
gives,
Joshua was saying.
yeah, and well, to piggyback off shit, you win $5 every time you win a match. So if you go there and got 30, 40 people in your class and you win 15 matches, well, extra $75 on top of everything else.
And for me personally, there's this thing I want, like, to add to my accolades or whatever resume, call it what you want. Yes, there is a national title, world title, whatever class I decide to do that in. But I always think that if I do that, there's always a yeah, but right after that. And, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, I want it to mean something, because when I got into the sport in 2010, it meant something. And now it doesn't mean as much. as it went. I mean, it still can, but still, I want no doubt, that kind of thing, instead of fighting, well, yeah, but what if you was in this promotion? Well, yeah, but so-and-so didn't show up. There's always something that we always, deal with. And hopefully one of these days it can mean something down the road. You know what I mean? Now,
it'd be nice.
Let's talk about changing subject here. Mr. Tom Edge, I know you had a great time at WrestleMania. You lucky fucker. We're 10 minutes in, so I can cuss now. Oh, how was it down there, by the way?
It was amazing. It was amazing. It's something, I mean, we've been planning this since right around December. I had the opportunity to partner up with Scott Steiner and the Steiner brothers. It's been going great, and everything just came to life. We had the bicep bash on a Tuesday night during WrestleMania week, along with every other thing that we did all week long between wrestling cons and a couple of Rikishi's events and other things. And we just wanted to bring arm wrestling to their world and let their world see our world. And from what we did, it's opened a lot of doors.
Okay.
There's a lot of people just super excited about it. And it was a great success. It's on Triller TV. We will be releasing some of the matches probably next week on Arm Sports YouTube, Scott Steiner's X account. But no, it was amazing. It was speaking from arm wrestling standpoint, we had a lot of great matches, a lot of big matches. Sarah came out as well. She was part of our panel, which was really cool. It turned out awesome. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Like I said, I don't know, like a lot of people don't see, a lot of people think that you have to be like a WWE fan to see kind of what we did.
Right.
But you got to think further. And when I say that, I mean, I maybe I'm saying it because I am a WWE fan, but when you look at the reach, I'll say, like if you add up the NBA Finals, the World Series, the Super Bowl, and the Stanley Cup, all that combined doesn't even touch WrestleMania. That's how big WrestleMania is. So a lot of people don't really understand that like their reach for one event is bigger than our 4 events in the United States. And so we're trying to bring arm wrestling to that. And I think it was a big success, and we're already planning the next couple. So,
well, I know there's a lot of questions that followed that. So one of them was, how do you think the WWE universe or the stars felt about our sport as a whole when we brought that to them? What was their reaction?
They loved it. It's the adrenaline to them. A lot of people kind of knew a little bit about it. When you speak to people like JBL, Scott Nash, or Kevin Nash, people like that, they know some people. Some of them knew who Devin was. Some of them knew who LeVon was. So it's not like it's far out of their reach because they see it on the internet, right? And some of them follow it and stuff like that. But to bring it to them and them wanting to now be involved on the next one, saying, "Oh, how could we help on the next one?" One of the big marketing talent persons for WWE, when we were backstage with Braun Breaker getting ready for his interview, we showed him clips of our event, and he's like, "Why are we not doing more with our WWE guys with that?" And so it's just opened a lot of doors, and I think the next year it's going to be, in my opinion, bigger than ever.
So what does that mean when we can join? Because in our sport, we always talked about, how do we get our sport on mainstream and stuff like that. We've had the Juji Mufus, tap into our sport. We had the Larry Wills tap into our sport. Now we got, Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall tap into our sport. And now we got WWE. So there's been talk out there too. Does this muddy the water? Because I guess from what people have been saying, there was a match between Steiner and Uncle John. Was it real? A steel chair came out. And for the diehard arm wrestling fans, some people thought, okay, now does this mean that we're going to have stage matches going forward? And so I'll say I'll be the one to ask that question. What does that look like going down the road if we, want to keep doing this going forward?
Right. Again, you look at their world and look at our world. We brought you huge matches for arm wrestling, and then we brought one match for their world, right? So we incorporated ours with their world, and we did our world. That's how we did it. And everybody knew that we had the WWE arm wrestling match for their world, and then we had 3 badass matches with a couple, top 10 in North America matches that were just bangers.
Right.
So again, you have to look deeper into what we're trying to do and incorporate their world. And I don't know. I think it was great. The feedback.
And Justin made a good point. Undertaker has his podcast show. Michael Todd was on there. I think it was last year. I think he was on there. So I mean, there you go, kind of crossing the sporting world and stuff. I guess, and thank God there was no thumbtack match. I want to be sure and get that out there. So
yeah,
because you know how I feel about that, and people know how I feel about that. And I was hoping that we're not having these steel cage matches and stuff. But when you break it down, you said, okay, here's the line. For you WWE fans, we got somebody specifically for you. For you arm wrestling fans, we got some of the top tier guys for you. So that way it kind of blends in. Is that what I understand?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was blending their world to our world. It was more than just our show. Like, we were there for a week, blending our community with theirs and their outreach. And it's always trying to bring arm wrestling to the next level. And it's not necessarily, ESPN. It's not necessarily, I don't even know. Just it's bigger than what we think, and everybody tries to do this fast niche, brand deals or TV deals, and it never pans out. But when you look at the reach, way different than that. It's the biggest in the world. Like, there's nothing bigger than WWE for the outreach. And a lot of people that we want, I don't want to name names, but a lot of people that we want eyes on the sport are looking at it now through WWE. And that was the goal, and that's going to be the end goal, is that how do we get these players to believe in what we're doing to take us to the next level? We went through this way, and it's working. I'll say that.
Okay. Jay Clean says, I personally believe that Uncle John threw his match. 0 chance that he lost to a 60-year-old untrained Papa Pump Scott Steiner. And, here's the thing. So when you do stuff like that, you probably get comments like this. Can't wait for the circular saw match, or a table saw match, that kind of thing. And so, my only fear, and it's not like Arm Guys, and like I said, I love those guys, but
those were 2 arm wrestlers. So let's look at the difference here. You had 2 professional arm wrestlers. We had an arm wrestler and a WWE guy. So again, let's look at the difference here between the antics of 2 arm wrestlers to the antics of the WWE world. That's how you gotta look at it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because remember the talk about Arm Guys was going to have a shock match or something like that? I don't think it ever happened, because I think they knew that, okay, you're going to fucking hurt somebody doing that stuff, like I get you want to kind of get eyes on the sport, and how do we've talked about that time and time again. How do we get the eyes on the sport? Is this the right avenue? Yeah, as cringy as that was with the 2, with Uncle John and Evan Burgoyne and the press conference, it's like, okay, you kind of saw it coming. Like, it was kind of like, all right, dude, really, you don't want to get to where now everything's a fucking a work. You know what I mean? That's what you don't want. But
Yeah.
as long
So
as you kind of separate the two, go
yeah.
ahead.
So when was the Olympia in Florida? Was that 3 years ago now?
We're talking about Braun Strowman and Devin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago.
There you go. Same
Yeah.
shit.
Right.
Because you had a WWE guy and then you had an arm wrestling guy. They brought both worlds together. They
Right.
had some fun with the match, then they got into some character. You're giving the best to their worlds. It wasn't Devin versus Michael Todd.
Yeah.
Because then we would look at that and say, what the fuck are you doing to our sport, right?
Yeah.
So people
I totally get that.
Keep looking further is what I would tell people.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually sat there and separate that, because I don't know if you even spoke on it yet, because I know people are kind of saying, "Oh, it was awesome." I saw all I heard was two. When I've heard, I'll keep my ear to the ground. The only two things I've heard was either one, the Uncle John Steiner match, with the steel chair and stuff. It was either they talked about that, or they talked about, oh, did you see Saraya against Leroy? Those always, I mean, and out personally, I was like, okay, Bear Steros. I was rooting for Ryan against Jordan Seal. That's my personal opinion, but whatever happened, happened. I was really hoping he would, do more, but because I was at work, so I didn't get a chance to see the event. But I asked him, "How'd you do?" He goes, "Man, I gave him all I could. It was a battle, but I didn't come out on top." So I'm thinking, all right, as long as you gave him a battle, I mean, as long as Jordan respects you more now after the match than he did going into the match from a competitive standpoint, and that's all you can ask for as far as he goes. Your thoughts about that?
No, I mean he gave him a battle. It was a great match. I mean the score doesn't really reflect on like how that match actually was. I think that Ryan, with a couple different moves when he stopped Jordan, maybe could have got a pin or two. I don't think he would have won it overall, but like it was not far off. It was a great match. Ryan definitely came in prepared for a very, very strong Jordan right now. So
And what's he at, 245 now?
No, he was. They were in like the 230s.
Okay.
Yeah, low 230.
Yeah. One day, and I came up short one time, but one day Jordan and I are going to lock up again. So we're going to lock up again. I don't know when, but I really want that back. I feel like there were some times where, well, we had a match. You were there at Utah qualifier. I meant, didn't go my way. There was a match we had at the finals of WSA. He knows it. I pinned him. He knows it. But the call went the other way. So some way, somehow, him and I are gonna get together again. But we're changing gears, gentlemen. MAC events coming up. 50 matches. 50 matches by. We're gonna call it 50 matches by MAC. What I mean by that, super matches. They're gonna have 50 super matches. Think about that for a second. What's everyone's thoughts on that?
That's a lot.
Can they get it done? And I don't know what the time frame what the goal is time frame wise, but think about that, because if we look at a King of the Table, East versus West, and they got even 12 to 13 matches, can sometimes take up a whole day, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Arlington was the fastest one. It was just a shade over 4 hours. That was with 11
how many
matches,
matches
12
was that
matches.
one?
12, I believe. I remember
12.
right.
Okay. Now, I don't assume that a MAC event's going to equal the time frame, because they're not going to have all the bells and whistles with the promos as far as like entering the table and all that kind. They're not going to have all that. It's like, hey, come to the table, this, that, and the other. I mean, they'll announce you. Don't get me wrong, but they're not going to have the fireworks and pyro and stuff like that. And then it's like, hey, let's get to it. And maybe their rule set eliminates some of the drawn out. So yeah, maybe 50 matches sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but because of let's get to the table. Let's go ahead. Everything's a ref script, and you kind of go from there. What I hope is that the last one they had, where there were some situations. If you remember the Pork Chop Jerome Loud match where they were kind of dumping people's wrists, it's like it's hard for me to top roll when they're pulling my finger down in the strap. And then, I have to go like that. It's hard for me to top roll like that. So hopefully those situations got ironed out to where, this time around is going to be better. What you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, that is one thing I think they'll have to fix. I mean, I think it depends on the referees doing the event too and the MAC rule set. I mean, if the MAC rule set states that the referees can level out the opponents by pulling their riser down, then I guess it's going to continue that way.
Right.
But I still think even if you average 10 minutes a match or 15 minutes a match, that's a lot of that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So what, every 4 matches is an hour? You think about that. 50 divided by 4, 12 and a half. Yeah.
What do you
Yeah, I
think,
mean,
Kim?
15.
I just think with their rule set, like I said, like what you said, they don't have like in between matches where they're talking and doing that. Like the match is over, they're done. The guy announces the next people and they go. Um, I think they can get it done in 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours, just for the fact that I don't think I actually, if I remember right, I think a lot of these are like best out of 3.
It might be. And maybe that'll kind of reduce some of that too, especially if they go to the silver bullet or whatnot. But I've never seen.
And I think they only got 30 seconds in between matches, not a minute. So I think they cut that in half. You don't have like the big entrances. You still have someone, calling their name, announcing them out. But I think with the rules, the fast announcing, there's no breaks in between. And the 30 seconds in between, I mean, I don't think it's not doable, especially again, if I remember right, I'd have to look at the card. I believe like over half of these are like amateurs. I don't think they're actually like pros. So I think
There's a few in there.
yeah,
Of course, the main event is Jason Constantini versus BLM. That's the finale, the
yeah,
main event of that.
That one's going to take a while to set up.
yeah. But I mean, most of them are just guys that like are happy to be there. They're going to get up there and just set up and just arm wrestle, right? So I don't know. It's if you were to pack this with, you know, high level pro talent, yeah, it's a fucking 2 days, fucking 15, 16 hours.
Right.
I don't see that being the case. I cut that in half.
The one thing that sticks out, well, a few things stick out to me, but the one thing that does stick out to me, and it's a concern for me, when I saw this 50 card match, was how do you intend on keeping the audience engaged for that long? Does that make sense? Like, how do you keep them engaged? I mean, seriously, man. I don't know if it's a pay-per-view. I don't know if it's live stream or whatever, but one has to wonder 50 super matches. How do you keep the attention, of the audience? Because that's something you got to, do. Like, I do one tournament a year in the summer, right? So while the bracketeers are getting all the brackets all ready to roll, loaded up into the Aries thing, I got super matches running. So that takes the attention off the bracketeers so they can focus squarely on that. Meanwhile, the super matches are going and you're trying to get the crowd involved. I don't have 50 of them, but I got a couple, maybe 3 at the most, but a couple just to kind of get the crowd into it before we start the tournament. But I'm wondering, like, how does one keep the audience engaged that entire time? That was one of my questions and stuff. One of my concerns actually going into this.
Well, you also have that, and you got to think about referees too. Like if you only have 2 referees for your whole entire 50 card super match, there's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fatigue from those referees, especially if they're doing it for, let's hypothetically say, 6 straight hours and there's only 2 set of eyes on the match constantly.
Right. I mean, I'm only just kind of, because it's like going, okay, you got to have, standing referees. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. I'm meaning that if you only got 2 refs and they got 50 matches, that's a lot of time. It's okay to mix it up. Okay, get another 2 up there. They'll do, 6, 7 matches, and those guys will flip, and then downside because head becomes downside. Do 6 more, or you're off. The next 2 in there, and you got to have some kind of rotation. As a referee, Tim, how would you run that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you say. I'd probably have 4 referees and it'd be rotating. So the head goes to down, the down goes off, and the one that comes in goes to head. So you always have like 2 matches off. So you work 2, you have 2 off. I think that's plenty enough time, and they all stay healthy and energetic and ready to go. So I would do that system. I wouldn't bring 2 on, 2 off back and forth because then you're almost working every other match. But if you did a 4-man rotating system, you always have 2 matches off and 2 matches on. I think that's the way to go with something like this.
Yeah, because you don't want fatigue on the referees, because I know in some tournaments I've gone to, because there was only 2 refs, and the problem I got was toward the end because the refs were tired, they were exhausted, they want to get this, they just start calling whatever because they just want to get the stuff over, which is not fair to the athletes. But I get why they do that though, exhausted. So you do want to have more than just the 2 refs.
Marc Andre did it very good up at the Quebec Provincial. The refs would be like 2 hours on, hour and a half on, 30 minutes off. Hour and a half on, 30 minutes off. And you sub people in for that time.
How many tables did they have? Exactly. So that's one thing, whereas Mac only has 1 table. So it's kind of like
saying, you like what Tim was saying, like, you can do the constant rotation, or you can do 5 matches on, 5 matches off, 5 matches on, 5 matches off. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we've done with all the Aries, right? And for every Aries, it's almost like every match you're rotating, right? Like I think we had 5 referees, maybe 6 for Aries, but like you didn't really have the same guy doing the same thing. We always rotate around.
Yeah.
Whether it's like there's 2 tables going for Aries, and 2 heads, 2 downs, and like they would switch, and it'd just be like a big circle rotation, and then you would come off, so that you never knew like who was repping who. It wasn't back-to-back matches. It works out really well that way, and that's how, like I said, when me and Corey discussed it before this even started, it's just the best way to do it for like consistency and people being energetic and the reps not getting too tired. People not predicting, oh, I have the same freaking referee every freaking time on this table. I'm only pulling over here, right? It changes a lot of things up. It works a lot better.
I've noticed people starting to do that now, which is good. Now, let's just say if you got a big tournament with big classes and you got 3 or 4 tables, then yeah, maybe your class has that 1 table, but it doesn't always mean you'll have the same rep though either. So, it does mix it up. We'll take Washington State. There may be a table at the very end for the 242 class. Cool. I know that's my table, but I may have Anthony Delantoni and Dave Hicks reffing, but then like later on, you might get somebody else. You might get, Bill Onifray reffing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's different. And which is good. It's fresh faces, you kind of go, okay, cool, and it kind of takes away from like if, sometimes there's always that one person every tournament. We all know there's that one person who's just grown up with the ref for whatever reason, bad call, whatnot, during the tournament. And it's like going, okay, you don't want to have that awkward, interaction when their name is called up again to that table and that ref is still there. You don't want to have that. So no, I do get that. And yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now
it seems to work better.
Yeah. Did anyone see the Schoolboys match over the weekend?
I did.
What were your thoughts? He's looking pretty. How big is he now?
250, 260 maybe. I didn't see the weight. But he's still running into the same problem he was having. And when he's pulling any high-level top roller, they're still able to top roll immediately comfortably, and he's having to resort to that flat press.
Right. And do you think, and you would think with all, I'm not going to say he had his time off, but did Tim leave?
Oh.
No. I'm not gonna say he had all this time off, but it was just kind of like he's still been pulling. But at the same time, it's like going, okay, 6 rounds, and I'm like going, huh?
I mean, he won. What was it, 3-1 or
Yeah,
4-1, whatever it was. I mean, once he was able to get to his spot on the inside or in that flop press, he was dominant. But that first round, I mean, his hand did go back comfortably, I would
yeah.
say.
Speaking of which, since you brought that up, question is, who has the worst hand control, hand endurance, Schoolboy or Kalinchenko?
Well, we're gonna find out what how Kalianchenko's endurance is here in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when he pulls Machishenko. So,
And that right there, that's if I had a nickname for, I don't know.
Neil, you say that, but Jerry Cadaret's been making a career off that flop press. So,
What do you say? Flat press should be the last resort because you don't want to train your hand and go back at all if you can help it.
don't tell Camille Jablonski or Jerry Cadaret that.
Here's my opinion about that. For me, I've done that move before, but it's more of a for me, break glass in case of emergency type meal, and I only do that if I'm in the strap.
Yeah, Camille, it's weird, right? Because Camille, he's weird. He's got a hard match too.
Because I say that because, and let's just talk. If I'm out of the strap, right, and I'm like here, and all of a sudden we're gripped up, and all of a sudden I come in like this, depending on where this part of my hand is, will dictate if I can get that or not. If I'm out of the strap, my opponent can climb my fingers and come out of that. Whereas in the strap, we're locked in, so you can only climb so much.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
At that point, if I clamp down with my fingers, now I can really make sure you don't climb up any further, and I can go ahead and just focus on this part of my hand and just drive down. I personally can't do that out of the strap. In the strap, different. And of course, I got to be in the right position. I can't do it here. I'd rather do it there. But my whole point as far as the flop would be like that. I mean, that's just me, so
Jay Clean's right, though. Kalina's not going to have to worry about hand control because this match is 100% going inside.
Right. Now, I do want to see we were supposed to see it last East versus West. It didn't happen. Hoping down the road we can see that. I do want to see Jablonski versus Jerry Cadaret. Flop for flop.
I mean,
one has a quicker flop. The other one has a more powerful flop. I don't know. We'll see. I'd rather see that. I just hope everyone's wrist will be fine after all said and done. That's just my opinion. So
this match he has against Zoranov is going to be Georgie's so strong. I don't know about that, Jerry. I about Jerry all day. Neil Insect said Jerry all day. I honestly think if they pull, this is just my opinion, I just see Camille beating Jerry. I mean, because Camille's just he's a bigger human being. Broader shoulders, just bigger and faster, a lot faster.
Wow, I've never seen Camille do anything but that. Now,
well, no, he'll hook. Don't forget when he hooked Morozov. He was able to hold Morozov off in a hook.
Yeah, it looked to me. It looked weird because I'm not used to him doing that, and Jerry could too. I mean, I guess from this standpoint with those two guys, it all depends on who's I guess left hand, so to speak.
I don't know, right? So I look at it this way. Everybody thinks if we're comparing apples to apples here.
Mm-hmm.
When Jerry pulled Devin and Wall, Devin was able to hold Jerry off in a dead set hook like he was comfortable.
Right.
Morozov wasn't comfortable with Camille Jablonski. Was he in trouble? Probably not, but Camille's stronger in my opinion too. So
I think Jablonski's quicker as far as getting there. I think, and the thing is though, and tell me if I'm wrong, chat, tell me if I'm wrong, how I break down both guys' flop rest. If Jablonski is more of a rotation, I'm going to rotate my shoulders and hips and be real quick about it. Whereas Jerry's more like, I'm coming right at you. I'm coming right at you. Right?
Mhm.
That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but just the way I've seen that, Jablonski, he's all wound up, shoulders are not even square, and then it's just boom like that, you know. Jerry's kind of like, you know, he'll stop it, then he'll lay on it, you know. So
Yeah, they press in different angles for sure,
yeah,
like in totally different directions. But I think
and
if you put either one of them against somebody like a Matyushenko or Alajan, especially on the left, Alajan beats them both. But Matyushenko on either hand beats them both. I mean, he already beat Camille
right,
easy. So
Matyushenko, I think if I gave him a nickname, it would be like the Rubik's Cube because you just don't know what to expect. He does these things and then he comes out on top, and it's like, man, like a Rubik's Cube, you know? So I don't want to get too far into like this upcoming card because, you know, we got time for that. We can do that probably next week or the week after. But I will say this, though. Who is Georgie pulling again?
Georgi Duranov or Georgi
No,
Svetkov?
Svetkov. Svetkov.
David Dadikyan on the left.
Okay. Is Daddy Khan ready for that? I don't want to get to dive too in about. I really, because
So, you know,
that's one of the
I
matches
know.
that interest me.
Yeah, so it's Georgie's an awesome guy. Like I had the pleasure of cornering Georgie and hanging out with Georgie at EBW. This match goes one of two ways, in my opinion. It goes either Dadikyan is just, I mean, look what he did to Kurdecha. It could look very easily like it could look very similar to the Kurdecha Dadikyan match. Or is Georgie just so good at not being hooked that he's able to hold Dadikyan off and gas him out?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and now I'm starting to realize that. Remember, it was all about how big a person can get, and now we've seen that sometimes you do that. You put all your baskets in that round one. You start gassing out. Now it's about okay. Now it's about conditioning.
You know, the way Dadikyan beat Kurdecha has, it's hard to believe that anybody can do anything with him right now. But then you go back and look at Prudnik and Dadikyan, or
Mhm.
granted different weight classes, but still, like, and then Prudnik was able to hold off Dadikyan, and then you look at the way Alajan went right through Prudnik, like, so
No, I totally get that.
a lot of
Uh,
it's arm
says
wrestling
Daddy,
math, but
but it's good. We could talk water cooler talk, right? So Daddy Khan will lose his wrist. In my opinion, people will be shocked.
possibly. I know Georgie will be wanting to stay outside with him, so we'll see. It's a tough one to call. Like you said, there's a lot of variables with the match. Does it go inside? If it doesn't go inside, then the match 100% favors Georgie. If the match goes inside, it 100% favors Dadikyan. So,
If George's left is close to his right, then he will win this match. You know, like I said, that it opened my eyes a little bit more the way I saw him pull Chafee. We're talking about Georgie now.
yeah.
So you know,
Yeah, he pulled that. I mean, we were talking in between rounds, Georgie and I, like strategy with Dave, because round one, he got stretched out some, but you always see kind of Georgie in that stretched out open top roll.
right,
Um, Dave started losing his wrist. Round two, he started losing his wrist more, and then round three, we kind of knew Dave was going to have to result to a press. So uh, we just planned on going forward as Dave started losing his wrist more, starting to slide the elbow forward. That way, when Dave came into press, he was pressing into here and not here. So
right. Ryan
we're
Boucher says, "Oh, go ahead."
go ahead.
Ryan Bull says Georgie does lack finishing power in his opinion. I mean, when he gets stuck like that, like it almost seems like okay, and I kind of see where he's going with that because I get that too because I'll get to a position and I'm stopping my opponent, but it's like, okay, now how do I get out of this? It's almost like when you're a kid, sometimes you climb a tree. It's easy to climb a tree, but then you kind of figure out, well, how the fuck do I get down now? It's kind of like that, like he'll get to that point, but now it's like, okay, how do I finish this shit without,
I mean,
you know?
Georgie's a bad dude, man. Like, it's going to be interesting. But I mean, do you need a transition when you're just so good? I mean, people say that. Look at Svetan Gashevsky. Svetan finishes people. He doesn't
Yeah.
have the side pressure some people have. I mean, we look at his match versus Craig. Craig clearly has more side pressure than Svetan, but Svetan was able to weather the storm and climb up and climb up, and so
I think it has to do with the angle, as Arm Gods is number one apparently. So there you go, right? I think because there's like, we'll use the press for example. If somewhere were the top row, if I'm trying to go for a press, I know, but I want to do it from a different angle. It goes like this. If I'm here and if I want to top row here and I got hand control, I got all the control, I'm on top. Now, if I can't finish, because of the up pressure I'm getting from my opponent, then this is where I drive down and push myself like that. Now they have to go through my hand and shoulder. Now I can go ahead and proceed and press down like that. Whereas it was hard to kind of do this. You know what I'm saying? So again, for that to work, I got to maintain that pressure down. Because if I do this and then try to let go and go here, I'm going to get thrown back that way. Whereas keep that pressure down and do that.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, a lot of the people saying certain things about transition and stuff like that. I don't know if they've ever seen the Jerry Caderet versus John Brzenk match from back when they pulled in California.
Oh, we're talking about the UAL match?
Yeah, I mean, Brzenk was doing everything he could to transition, but Jerry was able to keep him out of the transition. It was a few weeks earlier that he hooked Jerry in like this and had no problem with him. John did.
Right.
So you can be sometimes the best transitional arm wrestler in the world, or at that time, I don't think there's any arguing that John was the best at pretty much everything. And he was still unable to transition. He was doing everything right, just was unable to transition.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, people, go look up ARM TV on YouTube and punch in Jerry Caderet versus, John Brzenk, UAL. You will see that match in its entirety. So that's the match Nathan's talking about. So, yeah. And that's when, I think that was UAL 1.
Yeah, it was a hot while ago. And
outside doors, yeah. So the only thing about pulling outside open area that sun hits that elbow pad, man. That's not okay. Not okay. But nonetheless,
they were using those soft pads back then too. Those things were like this big, and then by the time they started, they were this big. So
yeah, I mean, and I hate those pads, by the way, when they indent like that, because then it's like if you're a guy who likes to use that elbow pad and you drag back or drag forward, your elbow's just going to sink and stay in one. It's like quicksand; it'll just sink.
Mm-hmm.
Can't move it. And at that point,
when you're at the front of the pad and your elbow digs in, and all you're setting on is the material on the hard part of the table, and you're like, what?
Yeah. All right. Paul Bates, Hot Spicy Boner says, Arm Gods got home, see Jody's fight. Yes, my ass kicking I took from James Beach. There you go. If I had to do that match over, if I was able to do that match over, I would have done a couple things different, But, it's always funny how once you're done with a match, you have to take a loss, you kind of realize 45 minutes after the match, I should have done that,
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, to each his own, right? But nonetheless, James Beach that day was on his game. His hand and wrist was solid. I thought mine was solid until I ran to him, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's not solid. But if I can change a few things, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But like I said, such as such, So
yeah.
What else we got going on? I mean, we talked about, Ryan Bowen.
There's something this weekend. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bowen will be back at KOT as a commentator.
Yes. What do people think? I mean, and I've been seeing this stuff he's been posting. He's been looking thick now.
Well, we had that conversation, a week ago? about people that we felt were kind of best for commentation as
Mhm.
commentators,
Yeah,
and we all said Bowen was great at it.
yeah.
So, you know, you
I don't
got
want to
him
say
and
a Mount.
Neil.
I don't want to say a Mount Rushmore, but when
Very,
you
very
have
good.
Bowen, Neil,
N-
and Coach Ray, they break things down to the
Very.
people who are engaged in the
Yes.
sport. Whereas, and this is like I said, this is how I see it. Travis does it to where if you don't know about the sport, you want to hear what he has to say because the way he comes off, and in hindsight too, he brings that that color commentary. If Neil's doing a play by play, and he's into it, he gets excited, and then you got Travis. It's a good combination because he'll throw that little one
Well,
liner in there,
I mean, it's kind
which
of
is
like if
good.
we want to use wrestling terminology, is when like Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler were on commentary together. You had Jerry Lawler as the hyped, energetic guy, which is your Travis, and you had the guy that broke down everything, kind of play
Hmm.
by play, which would be your Neil Pickup. So,
Right, and that's good. You need that yin and yang for that to work. You have to have that because and we'll use that for example. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan. You know,
oh yeah,
Bobby was a color commentary. Even Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, the color commentary. Then you had the guy that broke everything down, kind of more serious. Then you had the off guy who was just cracking jokes. And just kind of making it like, okay, it entertain you. That's what Travis is. He entertains people, but he also knows what he's talking about too. So, you know, um, some people can't take Travis anymore, as Jay Clean says. Can't
I
take
mean, it's kind
Travis.
of like, I mean, look at Vince McMahon before he was came out as the owner. He was doing color and was
Yeah,
really good at it too.
right.
Roddy Piper was great at commentary.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was great. Neil's index finger said, "I think if Bowen did not sabotage himself, he could have been even bigger name in arm wrestling." Um,
He's still a big
yes and no.
name.
Well, he's making a name for himself one way or the other.
Mhm.
Maybe as far as being taken seriously, but if you notice though, that whole situation with the weight thing happened in January. He kind of laid low, right? And here it is. He'll resurface again come May. So I think all it takes is a few uh
Well, I
months
think.
to kind of lay low
Well,
and all that kind of
I
stuff.
also think other things happened at that event that are taking precedence.
That kind of
But
offset that situation.
yeah, significantly offset it. I mean, they're significantly more egregious than that, in my opinion.
I can't wait to see him back on the table. Actually,
I mean, I know John Terrian called him out, so, and
mm, my only problem with that is that Bowen ain't nowhere. Bowen's probably about 230 right now, 235. I'm guessing.
yeah, but John would still pull him. That's the thing.
Yeah, and was you and I were talking about that? I can't remember. I was
Well,
talking to
I
somebody
know,
about
I know John has Ray in June.
yeah, like take a break, my man,
Well, I
because
mean, he
now he's
kind of is. He kind of is. I mean, he has Coach Ray what at Arizona State, so
mhm.
so
And here's the thing, and John Terrian is like the Canadian version of Tim Lewis. Will pull anybody. It's just he's a better puller than Tim Lewis is. He
yeah.
pulls better competition. We'll say that,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's a
for
better
sure.
puller. But at the same time, you got to go, bro. Can you imagine if John was ever at 100% going into these matches? He's pulled so many times, which is good. That's a good thing because you get your name out there. You're getting some miles on that arm, some quality miles, and you're holding your own if you're not winning. But now you kind of wonder, if I was 100%, could I have beaten Craig Tullier? If I was
I
100%, could I
well,
have beaten my opponent
John
at
definitely.
AWC?
I think John was as close to 100% as you can be going into his match with Craig. I mean, because I don't think any of us are ever healthy. I don't think our arms are always perfect.
No.
So I mean, let's be honest. He just had a damn hard opponent the other day.
All his opponents are hard, and which is good because now it's like
Yeah.
that is the one guy you can sit there and say that dude is battle tested.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like Craig Tullier is a beast, man. That's a
Yeah,
bad dude. That's a very bad dude.
and you
You
say he
know,
has Coach Ray in June, huh?
at that weight class, there ain't nobody beating Craig Tullier right now.
Right.
Like it's evident. Especially in the North America.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with that. Now I wonder, just for shits and giggles, if Tyrion decided, oh yeah, I want to pull Ryan Bowen. I would imagine it's a catch weight because there's no way Bowen
You
built
could do
himself up just to come back
you
down.
could you could go to 209. Bowen can make 209 comfortably. That's 10 kilos.
Well, and I only say that because when you have all this time off, you're in the gym, you're pumping iron, you're clanging and banging, and you're putting all this size on, and then you want to go, should I take that match? Let me go ahead and go back down. I don't understand how people do that. I really don't. I couldn't do it, but
I mean, I do it.
I just for me, I'm too old to be going up in weight, coming down. I mean, I had to like come down to 231 just to pull that match back in March. And
Yeah.
I personally didn't want to, but it's like I had to. It was a title match, or it's going to be fuck it, non-title. Now looking back, I should have said fuck it and just stayed at around 242 and just say, hey, non-title match, I want the win. But it is what it is. But
Yeah.
just because I felt different, whatever.
Well,
But yeah,
you're just getting used to it, right? Like once you start getting more comfortable, you'll feel good. I mean, I don't think you're losing much strength going from 242 to 231 personally.
well, I was losing a bunch of fat because my ass got too happy over the holidays and it carried over. So again, January 1, I weighed 249.6. So let's just call it 250, okay?
Mhm.
Most I've ever weighed my entire life. I did not like it. I can see I put on a shirt, I can see my gut hanging out, thinking, yeah, this is not cool. And then, once you got the call saying, okay, you got this match, title match 231. Shit. Okay. I better get on it, And my metabolism is like molasses these days. It's fucking slow as shit. So I got to really grind in. And by the time I got down there, I weighed in at 223. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure coming back from Istanbul, I'll probably put on like 12 pounds because I'm
right.
gonna want to eat. I'm gonna want to eat everything.
I can't tell you how many Philly steak and cheese sandwiches and drinks I consumed after the weigh-in. I can't tell you how much I did. Just what the fuck,
Well, I mean, like in Istanbul, there's food's everywhere. You're walking down the road and there's vendors everywhere. Like I'm gonna want to try everything.
Well, yeah, because it's authentic,
like a
their kind
fat
of
kid.
food,
Yeah, I'm gonna be a fat kid in a candy store.
Well, yeah, when you go to a different country and experience their food, I don't fucking want to go to Dubai and go, hey, let's try their McDonald's. What the hell for? It's the same goddamn shit.
You know
I
the
want
worst
to try
part about
something
that is,
different. Huh?
I'm gonna have to. I know the worst part about this is, I'm gonna get that fat and then I gotta cut down weight for 2 weeks
Dude,
later. So
you better pace yourself, man.
nah, we'll just do a water cut. We'll be all right.
And that's and you know what? I've never done a water cut. I've tried, and I probably did it wrong, which is probably why I hate it. So, but it is what it is. So, but such and such.
What else is
All
going
right,
on?
my friend.
Isn't there something this weekend? Oh, the ladies round robins this weekend.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the following weekend.
No, it's this weekend.
Because I got some of the ladies coming on the show so we could talk more about that. Well, I'll probably be even better.
I might look like Uncle John when I get back from Istanbul. I'm gonna be fat. I'm not
Yeah,
even gonna because
did Uncle John go all in?
I don't know. I know I get to Istanbul on the 4th and I don't leave to the 11th. So I got 7 days of eating everything.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Well, I mean,
do we have the list of competitors for that?
I know I did. Let me see if I still have that.
If we have the list,
The problem is some of them bowed out already
Yeah,
a
well,
while ago.
we can still make an accurate we can still try to make a prediction.
Let me see.
Ow. Ow.
Okay, here we go. Ready for this? So you want to go the lighter class or heavier class?
Doesn't matter.
Well, at the time when this came out, the 154 class was Scarlett J, Bethany Ritchie, Kimberly Wood, Danielle Evanson, Lucky Wood, Sarah Ray, Lauren Hughes, Christy Renzendez, Elizabeth Mosick, Jesse Androvic, Peyton Pickering, who's out. That I know for sure she's out, and Michelle
Yeah.
Dugan. That is your 154 class. And this
Okay.
will be left hand, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top three is gonna be I think Elizabeth wins it, and then Danielle and Sarah are second and third, and it could be either second or third, depending on the draw. That's my prediction.
And Mosick's looking like, damn, looking
I
shredded these days.
I trained with Sarah 2 weeks ago. She's feeling good.
Yeah?
She's moving really good, strong right now. So I think she has a very good. I think she'll be top three for sure.
Yeah. The open class features Angie Rose, Katie Hankey.
Angie Rose isn't going.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. See, I don't know if they got any replacements either. Katie Hankey, Brendan Griffith, Jolene Anderson, Shauna Wagner, Steffi
Jolene's
Spencer.
not going. Jolene's not going.
Damn. Steffi Spencer, Leah Hennessy, Lexi Derryfield, Beth Duke, Sarah Wilson,
Sarah
Christina
Wilson's
Ballard.
not going.
Who's not going?
Sarah Wilson,
What the
from what
fuck?
I heard.
And like I said, this was like, okay, so this right here was
I know
November
the.
28th of last year. That's when the original
Oh
November.
shit. I can't make an accurate prediction on the 54 plus then. Like the 54 and under I can.
Jacqueline Ober Breckley. Man, that's a lot to say.
Yeah, that's a lot.
155 and over. So, and that could be wide open now because if Angie's not going, Jolene's not
But
going, who might have been the favorites, that leaves it wide. And if Sarah's not going, Wilson,
yeah.
does that leave the door open for Beth Dukes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Beth might have still finished top three anyway. You never know. But
I mean, well, I mean, maybe, but because Jolene and Angie are gonna have a war with each other. So yeah, it definitely could open the door.
and I think if I'm not mistaken, Jolene has the last pin on Angie from WSA finals last year, by the way. So there you go.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right.
I mean, like I said, this list came out November 28th, 2024, and here we are, April 23rd, 2025. What the hell? So I
Did you
thought
see
this was in May for some reason. Maybe it is April. I don't know.
did you see Backman blew out her shoulder again?
I saw the x-rays and I was like, so was
No.
she ever 100% going into the match? I don't know.
It was her left shoulder.
Oh, it's the left this time? Fuck.
She said she tore it round two while holding the peg.
God, how do you fucking tear it? You know,
Todd Hutchings tore a bicep holding the peg.
how does that happen?
So much torque going into the peg that you're pulling on it, and you rip.
Like a peg deck? Like you're pulling here, all of a sudden it's coming.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she does get better soon because now that she's going back to the lower weight classes, new opponents.
Yeah, if she goes back to lower weight classes, like I'm not trying to shit on any of the ladies in North America, but they would all be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. If Sarah goes down to 70 and starts pulling that class.
So, you know, who's there now that can give her a run or even a challenge?
In North America,
Yeah.
I mean, your top three are Elizabeth, Merlene, and Nadia, and then Lee Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, we've seen Lee Aaron beat Nadia and Merlene. So, and then we've seen Nadia beat Lee Aaron.
Right.
Do I think? I think they would all have a lot of problems with Sarah.
I would love to see that match. Nadia and Sarah. I would love to see that match.
Or Elizabeth. I mean, you kind of have to figure it'd be Elizabeth to get the first shot, really, because she's #1 in North America at that weight, right?
Hmm.
So,
I'd rather see Elizabeth pull more than what she is.
I mean, it'd be hard to turn down a Sarah Backman match
Oh
if Sarah
no,
says,
but
"Hey,
this is a thing where if I'm Elizabeth, look, I've been sitting on the shelf, working out, busting my ass. I need to go out there and get it. Let's go.
yeah,
So
yeah." I
what
mean,
Jake
right?
Paul?
Yeah, he said if she goes to a lower weight class internationally, yeah. I mean, if she goes down to 70, she's got Thea, she's got Mullen at 70. Like, there's some potential screamer matches for her.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if she goes back down to 80, she's got to pull Egla again, and Egla already beat her
Hmm.
kind of comfortably. So so
Well,
yeah.
and we all know Edla has her hands full. So
So does Joss. Like that's gonna be oof, that's a match.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna
definitely.
know once that match comes and goes who's made of what.
Well,
So
I know the talk is right now if Joss wins with Egla, she pulls Barbora. So
and that's the momentum. So and some people say, well, how does she leapfrog Gabby in this predicament? I
well,
think
I mean,
because Gabby's
Gabby's
had
already
two
had.
cracks at Bora and has and it came up short. And
Mhm.
and like I said, I love Gabby to death. She's a sweetheart, but both those matches with Barbara look the exact same.
Mhm.
She won the first
Big
two and
moves.
gassed out.
Yeah. So I mean, but okay, okay. Let's use the scenario. Joss beats Egla. She pulls Barbora. If she loses to Barbora, then she still has like then there's still the Gabby match,
Mhm.
right? And then the
Yeah,
winner pulls Barbora again. Like
right.
so, like there's still tons of opportunities,
Yeah.
and you know, I mean, what a better story than Joss beats Sarah, Joss beats Egla, and then she pulls Barbora.
Hmm.
You know, so you know what this does do though. It cancels the Sarah Gabby match. Remember, they were supposed to pull left-handed at the Shaw Classic.
Yes, that was. And wasn't it like, fuck. I remember seeing a flyer about that.
Yeah, yeah, and it was supposed to be left-handed.
Exactly. And I was like, because even Sarah, and listening to her talk, she sounds very confident. Oh, I can pull left too. I mean, it'll be like, hey, finally, I'll get a match with Gabby on the left. Like she sound like, okay,
Well, I mean, if you
let's
look at
start
any of
doing this.
I know it's training footage, but when they got on the table left-handed, she was given and spot she was stonewalling Gabby. So, and then if you look at the Gabby Egla match, Egla gave Gabby hell on the left.
Hmm.
So, so that's yeah. I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting.
A lot of arm wrestling math, right? So,
That's why you got it. You got it's like that old thing in football. That's why you play the game. Chris Berman always said that. That's on paper is one thing, but play the game and see where it goes.
well, speaking of women, while we're on the topic, I saw an
Yes.
interesting statistic this morning. And just to show how much women are meaning to a sport, did you see? So there was a report out that shows that Caitlin Clark accounted, due to her being in the WNBA, for 27% of the WNBA's profit margin that year. Her alone accounted for 27%. So she meant more to the WNBA, to a league, than any other player in any other major league.
It would make sense. Like here's
So,
the thing. It's about needle movers, right? Who moves the needle in our sport? We know Devin does, right? And I've always said this in a
exactly.
joking way, but it's probably true. Like Devin can go mow his lawn, water his grass, and God damn it, if he doesn't get 1,000 views just by doing that.
Well, it's also like Devin says, you mow the grass this way, people are gonna follow Devin and mow the grass that way. I mean, look at the trend he started with his pronation lift and riser lift.
Yeah.
Right. So
Everyone's fucking doing it. I still don't understand how the fuck that works, but everyone's doing it,
it's not something I do in my training, but if it works for people, it works for people.
Yeah.
So, you know, um, but it's just saying like, why are people coming back to the Jocelyn? Why, if Joss beats Gabby, I'm sorry, if Joss beats Egla, why would she bypass Gabby? Because there's kind of there's the needle's being moved,
Mhm.
right, by Jocelyn. She's making waves, she's making a noise, she's making a splash. So why not continue to ride that wave? Right?
It's like when Truman beat Michael Todd 6-0 in that Vendetta match years ago.
Yeah.
He was the newest and the newest toy. And everybody hopped on there and rode that rocket ship, and he ran into some buzzsaws quickly after that. But
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's always been the needle moving matches and people. Look, when John came in, John moved the needle more than anybody. Then Saplinkov, Pushkar, Oleg Jacques, Rustam Babayev. You know, now it's Devin. Devin's moving the needle
yeah,
more than anybody else. So y- like, what's the old adage? Money talks and bullshit walks. So if somebody's making money for you, and you can make money off them doing something like
hmm
pulling a match because they are making a wave, then why would you not ride that momentum into the future and see where
yeah,
it stops? Like eventually it's going to plateau, but until it plateaus, you just let it go.
exactly. I mean
You know?
that's what I would do. But again, it's like, do we need? Because like for the men and women, we've
Hmm.
seen 2 world championship matches, and they look the exact same. And you have to say, elephant in the room, do you want to see it? Gabby Barboa pulled twice, looked the exact same.
Yeah.
Devin Levon pulled twice,
Didn't
relatively
look.
looked the exactly same.
No, it
Relatively,
didn't.
to
No,
a certain
because
degree.
first one in KOT, Gage. No, I mean Dev stopped it here, and then Levon pinned it. That
Mhm.
second one, Devin was able to hold him to center, and Levon transitioned that press, and that's when it changed it.
I meant like as far as the 4-0, 6-0, whatever you want to
Oh,
call
okay,
it.
okay, yeah. But what I'm saying is the match with Gabby and Barbora were identical, like
Yeah,
to the T. Like you could have you could put the matches beside each other without having dates. Like which one happened first? I'm just like, I don't know.
you
But
can
if
only
you put
tell
it,
by the fucking jerseys they wore. That's about it.
yeah. But if you put the Devin and Levon match together, be like, okay, which one happened first? Kind of tell.
As opposed to Devin stopping him here the first time and match 1 stopping him here. But
Yes.
that's when that second Devin match, round 1, Devin stopped him. Everybody was kind of losing their shit.
Well,
And when LeVon
you see
transitioned
Henry.
to a press,
You see
yeah,
Henry in the ring sitting back there like this, right?
yeah,
So,
he's like, oh my God, this might be it. This might be the day LeVon goes down. LeVon's like, okay, fuck this shit. I'm going to come like that and drive down. Once he
and
did
yeah,
2 things that I think LeVon doesn't get credit for. One, the 2 matches that stuck out. He's a smart puller. Let's be real. Guy's a
super
smart puller.
technical, super
I don't
technical
think people
too.
understand that. Like when Devin stonewalled him at the center of the fucking table, and Devin threw everything at him, and LeVon took it, was like, okay, oh wait, no, I can do this.
Well, I mean,
And it
you
was
watch
like,
him like LeVon's sitting there. He did a little regrip, but he bumped sideways. Realized Devin had great hand position. And said, "Okay."
right. When he did that, done. Because now that told me that, okay, that guy knows how to transition.
Well, you
Now,
also look, and then you look at the Jerry match,
oh
right? Like
yeah,
people don't think he's a technical arm wrestler. He beat Jerry by doing just turning Jerry completely palm up.
but
So like,
but look where he gripped him. He gripped him low. Because Jerry's gonna come like this. He went right into his hand like, oh, you just made my hook that much more easier. Whack. Brought him
yeah, I mean,
down.
he it was the Dave Chafee effect. He grabbed him just like Dave Chafee always did
Mm-hmm.
and beat him easy. So
It was
the
almost like
Georgian team's so smart too. Like that whole team's incredible.
he made it so simple. Grab low and go. Now,
So
granted,
do Hermes. So do
you
Hermes.
got to have a hand thick. Well, I don't think Ermey's hand's bigger than Levon, but You got to have a strong ass hand and finger to just say, fuck it, grab low and go. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. Grab low and go. Whatever that means. Grab low and then hook, grab low and fucking, drag top roll, whatever the case may be. I'm grabbing low because more oftentimes than not, the weakest part of someone's is their fucking wrist. You got the thick hand, thick forearm, but that wrist, if it ain't the same size as that, there's that. I'm gonna grab low. I'm gonna attack that, whatever that means. Here, there, whatever.
Yeah, it's targeting the weakest part of the chain, right? Like the chain is weakest from here to here, so you attack from here to here. But then you have unicorns like Machiashenko where you never see that wrist do that. So
exactly. So like you said, like okay, if I'm here and we'll just use my hand as an example. Thick right here, decent right there, the smaller parts right there. It's no different from, if I go like that, what's the weakest part of the fucking hand of the finger? Most likely my thumb is stronger than my pinky, so is my index, middle. Ring can be a little bit stronger, but that pinky, if that fucker ain't strong, it's going the other way. So you got to kind of think as far as that. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's just where I'm going with that. But
no, it's perfect. Yeah. But yeah, like that's why the next match with Hermes is extremely interesting to me with Levon. Because I think after that first match now, Levon's going to want to make an absolute statement and just go right through Hermes because, that did expose him, if you want to say that, even though he won the match 4-0.
He won. It's just, I think there were so many variables going that we heard after that. Like he was 100% healthy. He was filming or something like that. And he took time off prior. It was always something.
Or the people, what I loved was the people like, oh, he's vulnerable to a flop press. No, he's not vulnerable to a flop press. He's vulnerable to a top roll, a top roller that has incredible back pressure and can pull without his hand and that back pressure while using back pressure.
Can we talk about that for a quick second? Like, okay, so the flop, right? And the way Jerry does, he goes right to it. And some people are saying, oh, Jerry can probably beat Levon because he goes right to it, or Hermes had to get there. I'm like, here's the problem. When Jerry flops, there's no fucking back pressure. It's all coming forward. Where Hermes kind of went here, and I got all this back pressure on my side of the table. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that and maintain this pressure on my side of the table and do that. That's where Levon got stuck at. A little different.
Yeah, 100%. It's 100% different. Like they're night and day different. Like you said, you have the one guy going forward, trying to engage the shoulder. You have the other guy hitting back pressure and then losing the hand, and he's in this position. He's still driving with pronation and back pressure, getting into engage. Look at the way John Brzezinski pulled forever, and the way Todd Hutchings is pulling now. It's still back pressure, but with pronation, with a kick back. The wrist is kicked back now. It's not. And the best example of that, to me, is if you look, what was it, round 3 with Irakli, when Todd went this way and then Irakli hit with back pressure, but then brought his shoulder in and transitioned to that flop press like Hermes did, and Todd's arm went whoop. So
can you explain? Because I've had these conversations before, and they almost end up being debates, but the kickback. Now,
so the kickback.
When I'm here and someone busts my hand back, if they do it, it's not so much of a kickback where I intentionally kick back. Here as opposed to there.
So
can you explain that to everybody?
So we do it in practice too, where we'll hold kind of in this position. You're not all the way back here, but you're giving up some ground. And believe it or not, it gives you incredible access to side pressure because you're driving everything through your thumb. And John does it because it allows him to, you're riding the punch with your pronation, right? So your pronator is still very much engaged. It allows you to stay higher with your knuckle. And then you're driving in this direction with side pressure. So you almost have, instead of traditional side pressure this way, you're going side pressure this way. So you have a lot more shoulder engagement. You're on the elbow flexors too. So you do have incredible access to side pressure. So it is a very, very effective move because if you look at Hutchings, he's not pulling in this direction anymore where he's fully supinated, committing to a hook. He's pulling that outside position. and
Hmm.
it gives him incredible access to his side pressure. But it
Right.
also shows that his side pressure this direction is incredible, but his back pressure is why Arachley was able to open him up so easily.
Yep.
Because when's the last time you ever saw Todd Hutchings training back pressure this way or locking in position and doing back pressure this way?
If I did, it was a while ago.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
I did.
So, I mean, he's the king of side pressure for a reason. But then also, if people think Todd Hutchings is just side pressure and no brain, if you look at when he pulled him, what was it, round four? Uh, he did the top roll this way.
Hmm.
Arachley went to come behind, slide underneath again to gain purchase and press. And as soon as he did that, Todd went from this position to this position to shut that off.
Yeah.
So, um, just great
And
transitional arm
honestly,
wrestling.
and that's more of a feel.
Exactly. It's what 100% of feel. Like you feel your opponent, you're watching your opponent, you see your opponent, oh, he's coming this way, that shoulder's coming back. Well, I'm going to do this. Now he's pressing into this now instead of, like I said earlier, like if you let Jerry jump on your brachialis, you're in for a day. But
Right.
if you make him press into your forearm at this spot, it's a
Hmm.
lot harder.
Yeah.
So,
And that's
which is
all
the
about
same
making
thing.
that
It's the same
movement.
thing we did. It's the same thing, Georgie and I talked about between round two and round three. When Dave comes forward, I'll see the transition. I'll yell forward at you, and when you hear me say it, move your elbow forward. That way, Dave's not pressing you this way. He's pressing this way.
Yeah.
So,
And sometimes you can keep this and get up. As
mhm.
soon as you go that way like this, now it's like, oh crap, now I'm getting more of this than that. All because
Yeah,
okay, here, and I don't know if this, I'm gonna just see if this makes sense. So I'm here and I'm gonna press that, right? Cool.
yeah,
I can only hold so much, but the minute I'm at that back of the elbow pad, but soon, and I'm gonna just keep my hand here for a second because I can get that. Soon as I go like this, now I'm going
now they're pressing, but now they're pressing into the wrist because you just changed the height of your arm about three
right,
inches too.
just like that. And that's knee to the
Yeah,
front of the pad now,
yeah, big
which
difference.
means I could actually probably do that now, as opposed to like if I do this, I can't. My function doesn't do well trying to cut from
Yeah,
here, but the minute I slide it up here, now I can. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's 100% right. Like it's a lot harder to press somebody here this way because they have engagement than it is to press somebody on their brachialis where it's easier to open the bicep up.
Right.
So,
And that's Nathan Williamson teaching 101. Thank you
well, I
very
mean,
much. You guys are
look
welcome.
look at any of the high level guys that do it. I mean, that's all the same thing. You can look at the way way Hermes beat Jerry. He had him press into
Mhm.
here instead of here.
Right.
Dave Chafee did it for years against Jerry. He made Jerry press into this instead of this. John used to do that too. Make Jerry press into Travis. Travis is one of the think about Travis Bagent. Travis Bagent, die hard top roller. When did you
Yep.
ever see Travis hook? Only when somebody put him there. When he pulled Jerry, he made Jerry go here, and he kind of pressed the presser. So,
Yeah. This
you
is
know,
where you break down film, boys and girls. You break down that film and kind of go, okay, if he does it, and it kind of it does help that you may have a one-dimensional. I mean, Jerry can hook, but you don't really see him do that unless he can beat the person. But his go-to move against the elite, he's going to go here, and it does help that. Okay, if I know that going into it, the minute I feel that coming, I'm going to go ahead and revert to whatever counter you're going to. There's a counter for every match, people. So let's remember that.
yeah. For a post, it's a hook. For a hook, it's a low hand. For a press, it's a hook. Like for a press,
Mm-hmm.
for a low hand, you can press it. Like for a low hand, you can post. Like there's all kinds of options.
Exactly. So, Bob Anderson, what's going on, buddy?
But
So
that's why being versatile is very important.
it is, but you can say it, but it's more like it's like I said. I just said it. It's more of a feel.
Mhm.
Like when you feel, it's like okay, run that again. Okay, let me try this. Oh, it's a feel now. Like
It's
what,
Anthony Lowe, extremely good, extremely amazing technical arm wrestler. Joe, do you know that for straight?
know that for a
Anthony and I
fact.
can Anthony and I can sit there blindfolded and just counter each other like
Mm-hmm.
setups. Sit there and be like, oh, he's doing this or he's doing this, and just like I would encourage people to do that. Just close your eyes and grip up with somebody and have different feels. Like, okay, what's it feel like he's doing? Or, give your person, your teammates different feels. That way you can learn to counter what people are doing with setups. Or if you're not comfortable in a hook, get with your teammate that's comfortable in a hook and learn how to hook from them. That way you never know when you might need that thing.
I never knew I had a hook until I was forced to use it.
Yeah.
I never knew, like, defensive hook, I had to use that when my game plan was to go top row city. That's my move. And my opponent pretty much blocked that on the go.
Yeah.
And when I had no access to that, then I was forced to go the opposite way, which meant all the attention was up top. Nothing was going on down here. I decided to go like this. And I was like, oh, now I got something.
Yeah,
and
that's the
because I
same
really
way I
never,
pull.
yeah.
Like I'll
'Cause I
fake
never,
that I'll put pressure like I'm gonna top roll, but
mhm,
it's a complete feint because then I'm completely diving. You know
right.
what I mean?
It's just
It's
giving
like
your
with
opponent
Jocelyn.
an illusion.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with Jocelyn. Like we have plan, I think it's best of 5. So we have
Yeah.
plan A, B, and C ready. Plan A doesn't work, we go to B. If B works, we stay on B. If she transitions, then we transition. It's just, you know,
That's the beauty of a super match. Whereas in a tournament, you don't get that opportunity unless,
100%.
okay, he lost or I lost. One of us is on the B side. We meet up again. You don't really get that. So it's kind of like, tournament. I got to hit that bullseye
So
every single
so
time.
so so here's a perfect example, right? I was working with some people on Saturday after the seniors up in Quebec
Right.
provincials. And I was talking to a guy about how I initiate a hook. And there was a gentleman that pulled masters on Sunday and he went to top roll and couldn't top roll the guy. He goes, then I remembered how you said you initiate a hook, and he goes, figured to heck with it. This might not be the best time to try it, but I'm going to try it. And he won the next. He came from the B side, beat the guy twice, just by trying something new and not being one dimensional, and then coming inside. And he won the next 2 rounds easy.
There you
So
go.
sometimes you got to just throw the darts at the board and hope they stick and try something different, right? So
But I think sometimes, and I've been guilty of this too, where I got to win this tournament. I'm expected to win. I need to win this. And I just stick to my guns and go, damn, dude, like, F it. Just go. Who cares? Just go ahead and dive in there, because then you might have something. And then it's
Mhm.
like, oh, wow. That actually, that happened to me a couple of times. Like, I never knew how to shoulder press until I used it at the Nationals in 2017.
Yeah, and I
Right.
definitely think it makes a big difference who you practice with too, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, I have an amazing top roller in Anthony, where if I want to just train top roll that day, we can burn in the center and blow up the pronator and the back pressure. If I want to work on my inside game or accessing it, I can do that with Anthony, but I can just bounce off of Robbie with
Right.
a hook and just sit there and work that. So, you know, I mean, you see people. I mean, I think the Cossacks are probably the best at it. Like you have those teams are just incredible, where they just can do. You will have somebody that's an expert in everything. You'll have an expert presser, or hooker, or top roller, and just it's
They're just
insane.
like, holy crap. So
Yeah, it's incredible. Or the
sweet.
I mean, and the Latvian team's the same way, right? So
They're just smart, and that's why they're the best. So anyway,
different
my man,
mindsets.
I'm gonna go ahead and put a bow tie on this. Thanks for joining me on the show. We want to
Of
thank Tim for
course,
joining us earlier in the show. Everybody, join me on ArmTalk Monday. I'll have the ladies on. We can go ahead and rap about the round robin and what happened, what went down, what to look forward to, and then some. So everybody, enjoy your Whopper Wednesday, and we will see
wait,
you.
Jody.
Yo, yeah, that's the one I got, but it doesn't tell me the
Uh,
date.
this is just 4/26/25. You have Jolene, Rachel, I can't read that name, Beth, Leah, Christina, Amanda, Brennan, Stephanie, Kimberly, Elizabeth, Sarah Ray, Rebecca, Lucky, Bethany, Lauren, and Danielle.
Right. I was reading you this.
Two. Oh yeah, this one's different.
Yeah, I got that one too, but I couldn't tell, like.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So it looks like there's going to be like 9 a class, maybe? I don't freaking know.
It'll be fun. I don't know who's going live or whatever, but, once
I
that's
don't
said
know.
and done, then we can get rid of all that, oh, well, those guys ruined, yeah, we can put that in the rearview mirror. So anyway,
Yeah.
my friend, we'll chat later.
Later, buddy.
Everybody in the show, thanks for joining us. We will talk to y'all soon. I think next week, SP will be back, right?
Yeah, that'll be my last show before I fly to Istanbul. So I'll try to get on while over there. I'll be a day ahead of you guys. So
Sounds good, man. We'll keep in touch. We'll figure things out.
later, buddy.
Enjoy your day, everybody. Take care.